Okay, we're here for Tuesday media availability with Coach Wilcox. Go ahead and let me know in the chat if you have a question. We'll start with Jeff Ferrato from Cal Sports Report.
Hey, good morning, Justin. Can you give us the latest on where your game Saturday stands? Have you heard from the Berkeley Public Health officials, and what do they have to say?
We have not, so we don't know. I was told by university and our athletic administration we would know something by Wednesday. So that came from the public health office and the representatives here on campus to public health. So we are operating like we're going to play, and we had a really good practice yesterday. We're looking forward to having a good practice today.
You are still without the players who were in quarantine, I presume. How much does this handicap what your preparation?
We are without the players who are in quarantine. It's a position group and more that is missing. So yeah, it does impact it, but we're doing the best we can, and the players did a great job yesterday.
And can you give us a sense of your level of optimism that there will be a game? I know you're preparing as if there will be, but what they told you, I guess, was that 14 days for anybody who has been exposed potentially. Do you see any wiggle room there? And are you getting any signs that it will happen?
I'm not in those meetings. They told me there's a chance that we would play. I don't know why they would make the decisions they've made. We're trying to get clarity on that, but those are not discussions I'm involved in. And if they tell us there's a chance we could play, then we're going to practice and we're going to continue to work at it. And the only way to look at it is to be optimistic. That's the only way to look at it. So until they tell us otherwise, that's what we're doing.
And last thing, have there been any other discussions on your campus within the athletic department or the administration about sort of going to a plan B, perhaps leaving campus for the rest of the school year or doing anything like that?
You'd have to ask the administration. That's not a discussion or decision, I should say, that I would make. Here's what I would tell you. The football program will do anything, whether it's practice protocol, meeting protocol, whatever we need to do in order to play. But the decisions will remain with the athletic administration and the university. You know, we recognize the significance of the virus. This is not minimizing the virus. What we want to know is how we can be better so these things don't happen. Obviously, we don't want to spread it to the community. We want to be good neighbors and members of the community. We just are looking for some feedback on how to do it better. That's what we're looking for. There's some guys in quarantine that are not sure why they're in quarantine. We're trying to get them some answers on that. But as far as the football program is concerned, whatever we can do to help minimize or mitigate the spread of the virus and give us the chance to play, we are all for it.
And given it's not your decision to make on my question, can you tell me if you know there are conversations going on?
You'd have to talk to the athletic administration and the campus and the people that would be making that decision. That's not for me. Like I told you before, the football program, players, coaches are open to doing whatever we can do to give our players the best chance to play. That's what so whatever that means.
Thank you.
Just looking for
we'll move on to we'll move on to Trace Travers with Rivals.
Yeah, good morning, Coach. Are the players who are in quarantine still allowed to work out, keep up their conditioning during this time, or do they have to stay inside?
They're inside. They have an opportunity once a day to do some conditioning work. It's in a supervised manner with nobody around, but it's limited.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel, say, if some of those guys can come out of quarantine, they'd be able to adjust to contact and everything pretty quickly?
The first thing would be to be cleared by our medical team to play.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
And their conditioning would be taken into account. And we'd have to, more practices, the better. All those guys want to practice right now. They'd like to be with us. They're just not able to be. And so they're looking for answers on why they're in quarantine. And they're trying to do their best to keep up their condition as best they can if we get information that leads to them being back with us. So they're doing the best they can. And then we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I think all those guys would want to play if given the the option.
Thank you.
So we'll move to Shaylin Singh from the Daily Cal.
Hey, Coach. Have the coaches had to discipline players at any point this season for not following COVID protocols, or is that something you would do if it came to your attention that a player wasn't following social distancing guidelines or in any way putting themselves or the team at risk?
The guys have been given guidelines. We have at the facility, there's a process they follow, and where they sit in meetings, how we get our ankles taped, the way we walk out to practice, where their pads are. So they follow those guidelines, and they're constantly being reminded, stay 6 feet apart, wash their hands, all the things that we all hear all the time. They also, we're not in a bubble. Okay. We're not in a bubble. I think based on the data so far, that they've done a really good job off the field. Okay. They still have to eat, they got to get something to eat. I think everybody knows that unless you're living in a bubble, that there's risk when you walk outside or you go to the grocery store. And I mean, maybe you all don't go to the grocery store. I don't know, but guys got to get something to eat from time to time, and they got to make good decisions off the field to mitigate that risk. I don't know that there's eliminating risk. I don't know how we do that in this climate right now, if anybody can. So they got to do the best to make good decisions to mitigate that risk. If there's guys at practice, especially the veteran guys, not only coaches but players pleading with the other players to do things right off the field, so they have a chance to play. So I think they're doing the best they can. Would I say that nobody has got within 6 feet and another person outside the building? I don't know that I would say that. I don't know if anybody, in our society can say that right now. Maybe a couple people. We're trying to do the best we can. We're encouraging them to do that. That's where we're at with it.
Thank you. And then switching gears towards the game, just based off their first game against USC, what were some of the biggest differences you've noticed between this year's ASU team and last year's?
ASU, the difference between ASU last year and this year?
Yeah.
I think they're, coming into the season, you looked at their roster and the guys they had coming back, really impressive group, starting with the quarterback who we know well. He is a threat throwing the ball. He's a threat running the ball. They got a good offensive line. They ran it really well last week. They got some more kind of variations in their offense, shifts and motions and multiple personnel groupings, different formations. So they're hard to defend in that way. And then defensively, really well coached unit, got some good players. They give you some different looks and different pressures. So I think just on paper and seeing what they had coming back, they're every bit as good, and if not better than people would have thought.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, reminder, if you do have further questions, please let me know in the chat so I can call on you. I'll go ahead and go back to Jeff Ferrato.
Yeah, Justin, again, on ASU, how impressed were you with those running backs? One of them was a freshman and one of them was a junior college kid, so you've never seen him before. And what was your impression of those guys? Really good.
They obviously, as I mentioned before, were really successful running the ball. I think their O-line did a really nice job, and the tight ends. The receivers blocked down the field, which is something you notice on the tape. But they've seemed to always have some good running backs, and it's no different this year. The transfer, the freshmen, pretty talented guys. So it'll be a great challenge for our defense.
How well have your players and all of you been able to focus in on the fact that you have a game Saturday and an opponent to prepare for with all the other stuff that's sort of swirling around the bigger picture stuff?
I think they've done a great job. And when we go to meetings and practice, it doesn't feel different other than there's a bunch of guys missing. They've done a great job with it. Resilient bunch of guys. They want to play. And if there's a chance that we can play, then they've brought that energy to meetings and practice, which we are proud of them for that and expect that to continue.
And one more thing is, I'm wondering what kind of conversations you guys are having with Arizona State, and are they being patient with the fact that you're still waiting for some final approval at your end?
I don't know the answer to that. That would be a question for the administration in the Pac-12.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll go to Jackson Moore from 24/7.
Coach, just logistically, how much are your practices impacted right now without that position group? What does that look like?
Well, there's certain drills that we don't do. We work around it the best we can. So when you miss that position group, it's obvious. So yeah, we're doing the best we can, and the players are doing a nice job with it.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, if there's any final questions, give you about another 5 seconds here to put them in the chat. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up. Looks like Ashley Adamson, Pac-12, has a question.
Hey, Coach, I'm just curious. I know obviously with everything that's going on, how you guys are communicating and talking to the parents of the players right now.
Yeah, they have a lot of questions. I think they, see the news, and I think, they got concerned for their sons and loved ones, which is obvious. There wasn't really going to be an opportunity to come play, so the travel doesn't necessarily factor. It's just the players are disappointed that they can't play. There is some frustration that they want to know, how do we give ourselves the best chance? And I would say, we're all looking for similar answers. Coaches, the entire program are looking for some similar answers, or an answer on how do we move forward. And we're hopeful to get those.
And so just to clarify, tomorrow you think you'll have a definitive answer, or you hope to?
That's what I've been told. So we expect that answer tomorrow. We don't make the decision. Honestly, we shouldn't, but I'm relying on information that's given to me by our athletic department, which gets it from the university public health representative, and then the city of Berkeley public health. So we wait on that information. I don't decide when it comes out. I shouldn't, but we really would just, look forward to some clarity, not only on the game, but also on, this contact tracing moving forward, so we can be better at it. And we're looking forward to hearing about that.
Cool. Thank you, Coach.
And we'll go back to Jeff Ferrato from Cal Sports Report.
Justin, one more thing. I know you're very respectful of the whole process that's going on here, but when you were watching other games on Saturday in the Pac-12, and you saw that Stanford was without 3 players, including its quarterback, but played, and that other schools are having difficulties, and many of them were able to play, what's your gut reaction when you see that?
Probably what you imagine, Jeff. The question, why can't we play when the other teams are playing, given our specific circumstance in terms of the positive tests? I think we all know if there's a high number of positive tests and a risk for the community and spread within our team and then to community, everybody's on board with that. We respect that. And I think everybody understands that. What we're having a hard time understanding is the process that led us to this point. And so when you watch those other teams, you can't help but be frustrated and a bit angry and try and figure out why. And honestly, still trying to figure that out. We hope that everybody gets a chance to play. First, we want everybody to be safe. And I know it's a challenge throughout the country, people dealing with this. We just want to know, the inconsistencies in this contact tracing, why that's happening, so we can do it better. That's it, and give us a chance to play. But yeah, I can't tell you that I sat there and it felt great, and none of our players would either. So I don't blame them one bit. So we're really looking forward to hearing how we can do it better. We're really looking forward to hearing, what we need to do differently